rare and balanced view on politics in today's world. Based on facts, born of rationality, common sense, and logic, providing context on today's events. This is American Perspective with Rick Thomas.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to American Perspective. I am your host, Rick. Well, looks like I have a birthday to celebrate in the chat. Looks like I'll be singing to someone at the end of the show. I better get my singing voice prepped. Anyway, let's go ahead and get things kicked off with tonight's pledge. And you know what? Ooh, I better check this before I go and make a comment. Hang on just a second, because I actually think, yes, it is. So the birthday boy is up for the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you are of mind, please stand. Remove your hat if you're wearing one, like me. Place your hand over your heart and follow along with none other than the birthday boy, 3 Chevy, as he recites the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And, of course, I thank you, 3 Chevy, for that wonderful rendition of the pledge. If you would like to hear your rendition of the pledge played here on the program, all you need to do is record yourself reciting or performing the pledge in your style. Take that audio file, video file, whatever kind of file, attach it to an email, and address that email off to me. Send it to fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. That's fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online, and I will get you into the rotation. I have no idea what's going on in the chat. Anyway, if I have 24 of these, I'd like to get 26 by the end of 2026. So if you haven't done so, please send in your rendition of the pledge as soon as possible. And if you use your phone, you can utilize the share option. That's the S-H-A-R-E option. And send it to fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. All right. That's right. I'll get you into the rotation as soon as possible. All right. Tonight's headline sponsor is none other than, once I can get this stuff all figured out. There it is. The Institute on the Constitution. That's right. You can find them by heading off to theamericanview.com. That's theamericanview.com. The American View, all one word, .com. You head on over there and you can take a look at this fantastic organization, that 501c3 nonprofit with one singular mission: to restore the constitutional republic through grassroots education from a biblical worldview. They have a spectacular sale going on right now. You get half off a bundle that they have for homeschooling. You get 2 of their courses, Government versus God and the U.S. Constitution course. You get all of that for $100. regularly priced at $200. You get it for $100, and you can go and check that out. It's part of their homeschool collaboration that they have with the great homeschool conventions. You get exclusive student access for that price, and it's lifetime student access, by the way. Lifetime student access. And there you go. Just to give you an idea of what these cover, if you look at the screen right now, you can see some of the topics. For an example, under Government versus God, you have a time warp, which gives a historical, biblical, and constitutional examination of the early charters, compacts, sermons, and founding documents of America. You get a First Amendment and the myth of church and state. It focuses on the First Amendment to find and provides the true meaning of religious liberty, as well as clarifies the often misunderstood phrase, the actual false phrase of the separation of church and state. That is actually not true. Abortion and the role of the judicial branch. That particular session offers a look at the structure of the U.S. government and the limits of the judicial branch, as well as the authority over life. Socialism versus Christianity, and you get a bonus, a call for Christians. Then over here, under the U.S. Constitution, the 12 sessions. Obviously, number one, an American view of law, liberty, and the government. Second, America's beginnings, discovery, purpose, and the founder's faith. The third is the philosophical worldview of the Constitution. Then it talks about 1776 to 1789, from independence to the Constitution, because unlike what a lot of people learn, the Constitution is actually the second document. The first document was the Articles of Confederation, and the Articles of Confederation were written right after the Declaration of Independence. In fact, the committees to do the Declaration of Independence and the Articles of Confederation were formed at the same time, but the Articles of Confederation didn't get published until after the Declaration of Independence did. Then it goes through Preamble and Article 1. Then it covers Article 2 and Article 3, Articles 4, 5, 6, and 7. Then goes through the Bill of Rights. The other amendments from 2 to 10, and then the rest of the amendments, then the crisis of the Constitution, from biblical absolutes to evolutionary humanistic relativism. And finally, the 12th lesson is reclaiming the Constitution. How do we approach the restoration of the American constitutional republic? All of this is yours for the half-off price of $100 for the lifetime. For the lifetime. So head on over to theamericanview.com and check out that along with everything else. Then take a moment to head on over to their shop, because in their shop they have all kinds of other educational resources and things of that nature. But my personal favorite is right above my head, right up here, the Legacy Library. Now, the Legacy Library is filled with a bunch of leather products. I love my leather. But the one you should really be interested in is this one right here. Yeah, the Leather Constitution book right here. That's right. This item that is right here in my hands, it is a fantastic book. It's got 1/8 of an inch of Saddleback leather wrapped around pages that are water and tear resistant. No cheap glue here, folks. It's stitched all the way through the leather and the pages contained within. It has all Roman, according to 3 Chevy, the birthday boy. It has all Roman numerals in the aforementioned rounded corner book, have a 100-year numerical order guarantee. G says that the stitching can be used by merit badge scouts for various survival needs. I I don't know about that, but anyway, this does actually have a 100-year warranty against materials and manufacturing defects, such that if there is a problem, you can send it back to the manufacturer and they will either fix it or replace it for free. It is buddy tested, buddy approved, Billy tasted, Billy approved. My youngest whiskey warrior has confirmed that the information contained within will help you to achieve your civics badge in Scouts. It will also help you with that civics exam and your naturalization test. So head on over to theamericanview.com, go to their shop, go to Legacy Library, and pick yours up today. It's a nice pocket Constitution. Don't forget to check out that special summer savings, 50% off the bundle of Government versus God and the U.S. Constitution as well. Yeah. Go ahead and check out everything that they have to offer today by heading over to theamericanview.com. And I thank them for being a sponsor of the show. All right. Well, I don't know if anybody caught this. But the guy, John Bolton, you know, the former national security advisor to President Trump during Trump 1.0, he was actually number 3 of the national security advisors that Trump had during that time. He has decided to plead guilty to retaining classified information, according to several sources. Now, to be completely clear about this, John Bolton, just like Joe Biden, did not have authority to have classified information. John Bolton was indicted on 18 counts of retaining classified information along with other various charges. And his plea deal brings all of that down to one singular charge. Now, he had a book, a memoir that he had written. The Room Where It Happened is the title. And in that memoir, and preparing for that memoir, he reportedly had over 1,000 pages of what the government claims was classified information, all the way up to top secret SCI level. Now, the SCI stands for sensitive compartmentalized information. Whenever you see an SCI or whenever you hear about SCI, just think of it this way. Think of it this way. SCI means that you must be in a specialized place in order to view the information. You are not supposed to remove that information from that space. Now, reportedly, he also kept like a journalized diary of classified information as well that he had written down, taken notes and things like that. And then he would type those up in an email format and email them to himself on his personal email account. Now, who else do we know used a personal email account, and better yet, had a personal server? Because apparently even John Bolton's personal email account got hacked. Any of this sound familiar? If you're older than 5 minutes ago, it should, because Hillary Clinton was absolved of any wrongdoing by the FBI for pretty much doing almost the exact same thing. Yeah, the FBI didn't even bring charges. But here, this guy, they brought charges. They raided his home and office in August of 2025, and he is now set to plead guilty to that one count. So, yeah, there you go. And also too, John Bolton has a long history. I mean, he's been working in the government for quite some time, but what really happened at first, he was like all on board with the Trump train under Trump 1.0. And then all of a sudden Trump was essentially, trying to get away from wars because he didn't think that we were, he didn't appreciate the fact that we were in these forever wars and things of that nature. And John Bolton reportedly, as part of the fallout, tried to derail things like an Afghanistan peace deal that was supposed to happen at Camp David. You recall that. Anyway, under this deal, and he's pleading guilty to a single count of retention of classified information. Now, okay, so he's pleading to that, and I seem to recall there's somebody else who was a Democrat, not just Hillary Clinton, but somebody else who was a Democrat who kept classified information in his garage, as well as writing down and talking about it to his book people, because that's basically how they caught John Bolton. Who do you think that guy was? Oh, yes. None other than old, slow Joe Scranton Kid Biden. So, I don't have the answer to this question. I really don't. And I see it already in my chat because my, Whiskey Warrior P1s are the most intelligent audience in the ethosphere. But the question needs to be asked, why is it that John Bolton is getting charged? Why is it that John Bolton is getting charged and pleading out to this when we know that Sleepy Joe had documents in his garage unsecured, even when Chinese nationals were in his residence, courtesy of his son, Crackhead Hunter? Yeah. And why is it that Hillary Clinton was absolved by the FBI, which it really wasn't the FBI's position to do that? It would have been the Attorney General at the time, because the prosecution could have decided not to charge her, but no, it was the FBI. Not Christopher Wray, but what was the guy before him? Anyway. Well, he's going to accept this plea deal. He is scheduled and expected to accept this plea deal to that single count of retention of classified information, where he will be fined $2.25 million. He could avoid serving any prison time, although he does face a maximum of 5 years in prison, where the judge might go ahead and impose that. There's a hearing scheduled for June 26th regarding this. So, yeah. So he apparently, according to the charges, shared more than 1,000 pages of information about his day-to-day activities as the National Security Advisor, including information relating to national defense, which was classified as top secret SCI level, with 2 unauthorized individuals. Bolton also unlawfully retained documents, writings, and notes relating to the national defense, including information classified all the way up to top secret SCI level, in his home in Montgomery County, Maryland. Yeah. The documents themselves covered and revealed intelligence about future attacks by an adversarial group in another country, a liaison partner sharing sensitive information with the U.S. Intelligence Committee, intelligence that a foreign adversary was planning a missile launch in the future, and a litany of other top secret information. So he had just a treasure trove of info. And again, I ask the question, why is it that Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton are not being charged? Why are they not being charged? I mean, this is utterly ridiculous, to be completely honest. It is utterly ridiculous that they aren't being charged. So, yeah. It's a little frustrating for those of us who believe that rules are supposed to be followed. Anyway. All right. Well, we'll find out on June 26th, maybe, in terms of what his punishment might end up being. Anyway. All right. Well, folks, we have now an announcement by Donald Trump. Donald Trump spoke at the White House dinner. Speaking at a White House dinner, Trump said that he intends to nominate Todd Blanche to serve as Attorney General. Now, that's a promotion because he is only acting Attorney General right now, and this was announced yesterday evening. So, yeah. Anyway, he goes, Trump said at the Rose Garden event, "We are going to make him permanent Attorney General." Now, such a move would require the support of a simple majority of senators, and he was confirmed in a 52-46 party line vote in the Senate last year. So Blanche was tapped as acting Attorney General after Trump announced that Attorney General Pam Bondi would be transitioning to another important role in the private sector. She later revealed that she was diagnosed with thyroid cancer and had recently undergone surgery, which is probably the real reason as to why she ended up leaving. Anyway, at the time, Blanche said that he was grateful for Trump's trust and the opportunity to serve as acting Attorney General, thanked Bondi for her leadership. He said on X at the time, "We will continue backing the blue, enforcing the law, and doing everything in our power to keep America safe." And the president said at the time that Blanche is a very talented and respected legal mind. So this nomination comes after 60 days of Blanche serving in the acting role, which is limited to a total of 210 days. Remember, the president can put somebody in their cabinet as an acting member for a time while he or she decides to nominate somebody more permanent or makes that person who is in it the permanent. Anyway, so yeah, there you go. Apparently he's been doing quite well at this. And by the way, he was serving as Deputy Attorney General since the start of Trump's second term. He led immigration law enforcement efforts through the DOJ, oversaw the release of files related to Jeffrey Epstein. Before that, he was involved in Trump's defense as his personal attorney in 2024 during the New York jury trial, where the former president was essentially convicted on BS charges of falsifying business records in connections with payments that, I mean, come on, folks, that was so stupid. Anyway, as an attorney, Blanche has also represented former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani, Paul Manafort, as well as Boris Efishin, who is currently the senior counsel to Trump. Blanche has also worked as the federal prosecutor for the Southern District of New York and later worked for multiple prominent law firms, including Cadwalader, Wickersham, and Taft, and Wilmer Hale. There you go. Longtime attorney. So let's be honest, though. The best view, in my opinion, in today's divisive political world is to see what the other side thinks whenever a nomination like this comes in. And, well, let's just say they're not happy. They're not happy at all. They're not happy at all. Sheldon Whitehouse, who is an idiot, but Senator Sheldon Whitehouse of Rhode Island was on the MS Now show with The Last Word is the name of the show. And, let's just say they're not happy about this. Let's go ahead and take a listen to Sheldon Whitehouse and his characterization.
Joining us now is Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, a member of the Senate Finance Committee and the Senate Judiciary Committee. And, Senator, it looks like you are going to have your work cut out for you in a Senate confirmation hearing of Todd Blanche. Will the Republicans on the Judiciary Committee try to protect him in the same way that Republicans tried to protect the Treasury Secretary today?
Expect so. They have a record, for instance, of protecting Pam Bondi when she brought her little insults list, of protecting Trump's thug Emil Bovee when they stuffed him onto the Third Circuit. The difference here is that Blanche has done some really bigly embarrassing stuff. The $1.8 billion slush fund and the Trump tax amnesty. Pam Bondi hung around his neck the catastrophic mismanagement of the Epstein files. There is presently a really unique investigation in Florida into whether Blanche committed fraud on the court as the acting attorney general. That is an allegation we've never heard before in the history of the country, and it's being investigated. So for a whole lot of reasons, this is going to be a really difficult thing as November approaches. And if you go down the Republican side, you've got John Cornyn, who just got backstabbed by Trump endorsing the impeached adulterer Paxton in Texas. Maybe Trump has a thing for impeached adulterers, but that didn't go over very well with Senator Cornyn. You go further down, and you've got Senator Tillis, who is a free agent and not putting up with a lot of Trump crap right now. You continue down the dais to Senator Moody, who is going to be in a very tough race in Florida against the very talented Alex Vindman, who your viewers will remember as a witness against Trump in the...
Yeah, Alexander Vindman, who is a complete, utter, stupid moron, just like Sheldon Whitehouse. Anyway, as you can see, this was just a, hate on Trump fest. It had nothing really to do with Todd Blanche that much. Anyway, whatever. All right. Well, let's just put it this way. And 3 Chevy hit it right, the birthday boy hit it right on him on the head here, which was essentially that if the Dems are not happy, then you should be. Yep, I agree. I think we should be happy about this. And the reason being is because at least Todd Blanche, I mean, let's face it, Pam Bondi may or may not have been as interactive in the Attorney General's seat as what Todd has been. And, well, let me just put it this way. The DOJ has made significant strides under Todd's leadership, and I think that might have been a factor as to why Donald Trump is nominating him for the position of Attorney General. Here's one example. Now, you'll all recall that the Southern Poverty Law Center was indicted. Well, whenever you get an indictment like this, there are times where the prosecution can file a subsequent indictment as well, as more information becomes available. Well, you'll remember that the DOJ originally said, well, they were paying extremist groups in order to, foment the racism that they claim that they were fighting against. Now, the Southern Poverty Law Center, for everybody that doesn't know, is a nonprofit organization. And what they were doing is they were taking donor money and they were sending it off to, let's call them paid informants in the very same organizations that they claim to be fighting. And they paid them very handsomely for their information or whatever. It's been discovered, or been alleged, I should say, by the DOJ that the whole Charlottesville thing, or Charlotte thing, where the event that happened where Donald Trump was saying that there were fine people on both sides, the creation of that fine people hoax. It's been alleged that the SPLC was the one that funded that they funded it and or helped to organize it. Anyway, so they also allege that the nonprofit opened up bank accounts that were tied to fictitious entities in order to conceal the payments that were going to these extremist groups. Well, the DOJ has expanded that now. They announced this last month that the indictment alleging the civil rights nonprofit defrauded donors by secretly paying informants associated with extremist organizations, including the Ku Klux Klan. A federal grand jury in the Middle District of Alabama returned an 11-count indictment in April. And the superseding indictment retains those charges while expanding on the charges. Now, according to the DOJ, the SPLC secretly funneled more than $3 million in donor funds to numerous individuals associated with these extremist organizations, including the Ku Klux Klan, the United Klans of America, the National Socialist Movement, participants in the Unite the Right rally, which was that rally that I was telling you about just a minute ago, and the Aryan Nations affiliated Sadistic Souls Motorcycle Club. The original indictment alleged only $3 million in payments between 2014 and 2023. The prosecution further alleges that the SPLC opened up these bank accounts tied to fictitious entities in order to conceal the donor funds. And apparently, these funds were not just to pay these individuals. The donor funds was also encouraged to encourage people who wanted to get out of the movement, but to stay in the movement. According to the updated filings, apparently two of their confidential sources or whatever, the people, F-31 and F-32 is what they were calling them, apparently offered to pay them a $1,200 monthly salary as well as to pay for expenses as they were incurred. Now, some of those expenses, of course, included things like buying cross-burning equipment. Yeah. Right. Right. Anyway, they also, by the way, too, the SPLC employee who encouraged F-32 in particular, F-31 and F-32, basically essentially said, well, they are what is known as a rare books employee, which was a materially false representation of who F-32 was. They were given a rare books employee pay card, and that's how the SPLC was able to, cover up their tracks, that they were instructed by the SPLC employee, that means F-31 and F-32, that if they were asked, they were to tell anyone who asked that they worked for Rare Books and that their job was to help college students research and write essays. Now, in the background check between F-31 and F-32, there was nothing that was ever uncovered that they either researched nor wrote any essays for any student, college, or otherwise. So, yeah. Anyway. I mean, this is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. They alleged they had all kinds of stuff going on here. They were hiding things. By the way, the SPLC apparently paid one of their informants, F-30, more than $70,000 in donor funds from 2010 to 2016 to keep them in the radical group. And F-30 supposedly used those funds to travel to and host extremist rallies, recruit new members, and donate money to other leaders of other extremist organizations. Yeah. Folks, yeah. I'm going around and I'm going to ask for donations for everybody. You know, everybody that goes and donates to the show, I'm then going to take that money and I'm going to turn around and put it into accounts that are specifically set up in order to hide where the money comes from. And I'm going to go and fund Democrat-related projects with it. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. That's basically what happened here. I mean, just so that I can keep talking about Democrat idiots on this show. That's what I've been doing. That's what I've been doing with your money. No, it's not what I've been doing with your money. With your money, I'm just improving the show. Anyway, yeah. See, this is the kind of work that Todd Blanche has been doing. Todd Blanche's leadership has been doing for the Department of Justice, which is actually really, really cool. All right. So something came out here recently that I think has been kind of skipped over. And it's good news. It actually is good news. Here in the Epic Times, you can see this. U.S. private payrolls post the biggest gains since January of 2025, according to the payroll company ADP. Economist Neela Richardson is quoted as saying hiring was more broad-based in May than we've seen in the last few years. Private employees, or private employers, I should say, not employees, but private employers added 122,000 new jobs in May, which is the highest since January of 2025, according to the new data from the payroll processor ADP that they released on June 3rd. Now, this is slightly down from the previous month's revised 105,000. Last month's reading came in above the census estimate of 117. Chief economist at ADP, Nella Richardson, said in a statement, hiring was more broad-based in May than we've seen the last few years. The labor market continues to show sustained momentum going into the summer hiring season. Now, the job gains that led this number was education and health services, which has been an ongoing pattern for the past year with 570,000 positions. Trade, transportation, and utilities also expanded payrolls by 36,000. Professional and business services added 11,000. The information sector and natural resources and mining industry erased 9,000 and 3,000 jobs, respectively, meaning they lost them. Payroll growth was also observed across businesses of all size, whether it was smaller firms from 1 to 49 employees. Those guys posted the most at 67,000 employees. This comes after a Bureau of Labor and Statistics reported that job openings surged to a higher than expected 7.618 million, the highest since November of 2024. Multiple data sources suggest that the U.S. labor market is warming up heading into summer as employers shrug off a series of headwinds from renewed inflationary pressures to the war or the conflict in Iran. So things are starting to look up. Well, there's only one thing that I have to say about things starting to look up for those jobs, the job openings and everything else. I don't think those job openings are occurring in leftist states, Democrat-run leftist states and leftist cities. Why do I say that? Well, let's just point out that there is another major company that is running from New Jersey to none other than Texas. Now, Samsung has decided that they are going to move to Texas, and this is the big part. This is less than a year after building a brand new headquarters building in New Jersey. Folks, I don't think you need to, those who have been around the show for a while, you guys understand, you guys know. But businesses are not in the habit of just throwing away money on building facilities and then moving out of them a year or less later. Because whenever you build a new facility like that, you have this thing known as the return on investment. They're investing a whole heck of a lot of money in that new building. They are not in the habit of just throwing away money at all. Companies are very, very frugal with their money in a lot of different terms. And so there's no way in heck at all. There's no way in heck at all that this company, Samsung, has basically decided, hey, you know what? We're just gonna leave this building. We're gonna give it away. We're gonna sell it. It'll probably sell for less than what we built it because we didn't occupy it for very long. And we're going to move everything. We're just going to uproot and move everything to a whole brand new state. Now, they're not doing that. They're not doing that just for fun. They're doing it because in doing that, they are actually going to gain more money than they would if they stayed. So, yeah. Now, the statement that was issued by Samsung said Samsung Electronics America Inc. is undergoing a business transformation designed to better our organization or better position our organization for long-term growth and future success. As part of this effort, we are relocating our U.S. headquarters from New Jersey to our existing campus in Plano, Texas, building on our 30-year presence in the state. They expect to finish the transition to Texas by the end of 2026. Now, keep in mind that Will Hild, the executive director of Consumers Research, said in a statement to the Daily Caller News Foundation, where I'm reading this from, said, Samsung's decision to reincorporate in Texas is just the latest example of a seismic shift taking place in the business landscape. Pro-growth states like Texas that actually want companies to succeed are proving to be powerful magnets for businesses being crushed by radical policies and politicians in places like New Jersey, New York, and California. Now, Samsung is joining ExxonMobil in moving from New Jersey to Texas. Oh, yeah. But it's not just New York, California, New Jersey, etc. It's also a place known to most people as Seattle. Seattle is also getting undermined by all of this. Believe me, folks, if you live near a leftist city, I can almost guarantee you things are shrinking there. Take a listen to this reporter.
Downtown Seattle is feeling very empty these days. And the sale of a giant skyscraper here in the downtown business district is just the latest example of big changes happening in this city. I'm Jake. I follow the news so you don't have to. For this one, we need to look up. This is the U.S. Bank building in Seattle. And according to an insider with Bloomberg Business, Blackstone, which...
Okay, hold on. I'm trying to get the video up here. Hold on. Give me just a second here. There it is. All right. There we go. Okay. Here, I'm going to continue the video now.
Owned the 44-story tower, just sold it to Spear Street Capital for about $280 million. And that is, get this, less than half the value that they bought this tower for 7 years ago. Less than half. This sale is yet another example of the persistent decline for office space here in the downtown Seattle area. That's a big building. I mean, there's very few businesses left. Carmine's obviously is a popular one, but it doesn't look like there's anything on the third floor. Let's go check it out. This is a major piece of real estate in Seattle, and there's just nobody in here. I mean, it is gutted. The coffee shop's still pretty booming. But now this building is at the center of a sea of declining property values here in the downtown core. According to a report from the Downtown Seattle Association, the vacancy rate here in the downtown core is at 37% now. That means a third of all office space here in the business district sits empty. So why is this happening?
These are realities that other cities in our region and around the country are dealing with too. Hybrid work and post-COVID, all of that, right? But they're growing jobs and we aren't. Bellevue's growing jobs, Seattle is not.
A lot of Seattle business owners say this city has just become too hostile of a business environment. Taxes are too high, costs are up, borrowing costs, of course, are up as well. Of course, crime is a major deterrent for some of these business owners down here that are just sick of seeing it. And you have to mention, just the demand for in-person office space is also down these days. A lot of people just work from home. But with news about the U.S. Bank Center selling for half of its value, looking at the Seattle skyline these days, it just feels different.
So, to answer a question, no. The Chaz was actually Bam asks if that was where the Chaz was. No, the Chaz was actually east of the downtown core. It was actually up on Capitol Hill, which was up further than where this was at. Now, I actually have history in that building. Back in the turn of the whole Y2K run, I actually pulled a lot of cable in that building. And that building used to be known as the Washington Mutual Tower before the Washington Mutual Bank got bought. And then, of course, the building itself changed hands a couple times since. But yeah, then that building is an iconic spot down in downtown Seattle. But yeah, it's all being Democrat. It's all Democrat run. And, if you're looking for a job or something along those lines, I hate to say it, but your best bet would be to go to a Republican state, Florida, Texas, those two in particular. But do us all a favor. If you do decide to go there to follow the jobs, Tennessee is another one that's growing quite well. But if you do go there to follow the jobs, do us all a favor and don't bring your voting. Do not vote for Democrat, because remember, you left a Democrat state. Businesses left a Democrat state because of the Democrat policies. So, yeah. Anyway. All right. Well, I don't know if anybody caught this, but 60 Minutes, 60 Minutes got rid of one of its propagandists. Yeah. And so there you go. So, I mean, I don't know where anybody thinks this is going. Let's be honest. 60 Minutes and CBS has been a long way from being an actual journalist, middle-of-the-road journalist outlet for quite some time. And in fact, that's part of the reason why Barry Weiss was hired, in order to be able to try and gain back all of the people who, all they wanted, all anybody in the public really wants when it comes to news is they just need news. All I want is just give me the facts. Don't give me slant. Don't give me your opinion. You want an opinion? Go to an opinion show like this show. I mean, this is an opinion show. That's what this is. I give you my opinion on the day's events, civics, and so on and so forth. But if you want just the facts and just news, then I want to go to a just news site. That's it. That's all I want is just the facts, just news, middle of the road. Don't just tell me what happened. Don't tell me how you feel about it. Don't tell me what you think about it. Just tell me what happened. The things that you know, the facts of the case. Well, 60 Minutes has long since not been that way. And of course, they were caught editing interviews for their favorite politicians like Cackles the Clown. Anyway, CBS News fired Scott Pelley on Thursday. Pelley was a propagandist masquerading as a journalist, although he wasn't masquerading very easily or very well, because he obviously had a left-leaning slant when he was interviewing people rather than being a objective journalist interviewer. He would obviously argue with his interviewees about their stances and so on and so forth. Apparently, Pelley decided to do the one thing that you probably shouldn't do, which is essentially call your boss which is the editor-in-chief, Barry Weiss, call her essentially a murderer because she was, quote, murdering 60 Minutes. And he was in a meeting with the new 60 Minutes producer. And Pelley reportedly told the producer that she does not love this place. She was brought in to kill it, and she's been doing exactly that. Well, Pelley, if you mean that Barry Weiss was brought in to kill the left-leaning propagandist machine, you are correct. That is what she was for. Now, the dispute also apparently reportedly involved the firing of correspondent Sharon Alfonsi, who had clashed with Barry Weiss last year after Weiss postponed the release of a segment about the Trump administration's deportation of Venezuelan men sent to prisons in El Salvador, which, of course, the vast majority of Americans appreciated. Notably, the original segment was heavily biased and failed to include statements from the White House and Department of Homeland Security, despite the story involving those two entities. Weiss insisted that the story include responses from both entities. See, that's the point. You give the facts. You show one side, you show the other, and there you go. Those are the facts. That's what you go with. But no. In other words, Weiss was basically insisting on what is considered to be basic journalism, but that wasn't enough. Now, Pelley, after he got fired, accused the network of firing him for political reasons. Yeah. Yeah, that's going to like bond you to the new ownership or whatever. He goes, the new owner of our network is casting this legend aside, apparently to curry a moment of favor with the Trump administration. The waste is heartbreaking. No, Pelley. They are trying to bring back the luster of the CBS journalist or journalism. So, yeah. Anyway. Yeah, Pelley's career doesn't really reflect his reported commitment to the fairness against the forces of political bias that he put in his statement. Yeah. Anyway. As an example, during a 2019 interview with Andrew McCabe, the former FBI deputy director who leaked information to the Wall Street Journal and then lied about it under oath, Pelley framed the leak as if it were a praiseworthy effort to correct a story that was in the public interest. He also accepted McCabe's excuse that he was merely confused by the investigators' questions when he lied not once, not twice, but 3 total times. Pelley also said that if the Inspector General is right about McCabe lying, as if to subtly question the findings, McCabe, yeah, and he did that quite often. Anyway, in his 2023 interview with then Attorney General Merrick Garland, Pelley asked Garland about the timing of an indictment against Donald Trump, as Garland repeatedly insisting the DOJ was not a political. Pelley jumped in and said, to clarify the Attorney General's answer, he goes, the investigation itself has determined the timing he offered to Garland, essentially giving Garland the defense that he should have made to make it sound less politically motivated. Yeah, he was basically a propagandist. So, yeah. And let's take a look real quick as to why Pelley would be considered not a journalist, but a propagandist here. He was interviewing Moms for Liberty co-founders Tiffany Justice and Tina Descovich. The segment was supposedly meant to review the quote-unquote book ban push, which there is no book ban, push by parents concerned about pornography and other inappropriate material in school libraries. But Pelley and his team shamelessly edited the whole segment to push a leftist narrative about the quote-unquote book bans, which there is none, and parental rights groups like Moms for Liberty. CBS News cut a portion of the interview where Justice read portions of books that were available in elementary school libraries. Those passages were crucial to the nationwide debate since they allowed readers to judge for themselves whether the books were appropriate. However, by removing that context, CBS News and Pelley made it seem like Justice and Moms for Liberty were just irrational and objecting to the books for no reason. Yeah. So there you go. I don't know if that's going to bring any viewers back to CBS News, but it certainly helps to kind of clean up some of the riffraff that is left. All righty, folks. Before I take off, I have one last thing to do, and that is to wish a very happy birthday to none other than longtime Whiskey Warrior P1, 3 Chevy. Therefore, as with the standard tradition, this one is for you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear 3 Chevy. Happy birthday to you. And many more. Happy birthday, 3 Chevy. All right, folks, that is it for me for this evening. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, head on over to rumble.com, get yourself an account. It is free to sign up. And once you are signed up and signed in, make sure that you search up the American Perspective channel and hit that green follow button to get notified every time that I go live. Also, too, don't forget to give me a thumbs up, a thumbs down, or in the case of the birthday boy, a thumb sideways or a thumb at an angle across all my platforms, whether it's X, YouTube, Facebook, or, of course, the aforementioned Rumble. We will see you tomorrow night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on American Perspective. Have a great rest of your evening, and good night, everybody.